co-main event, if you will, the IBF Heavyweight Championship. Chris Byrd and number 3 contender DeVaryl Williamson are good friends, yet both had the feeling sooner or later they'd wind up fighting each other. But they say their friendship will not be a factor. Remember Byrd's last win over his best friend, Jamil McLeod. Chris Byrd is the longest reigning of the 4 heavyweight champions, almost 3 years. He's also the smallest of today's big men, and at age 35, he might not be as quick and mobile as he once was, but what separates Byrd from other heavyweights and what links him with James Toney is his willingness to face any of the division's naturally bigger fighters. He's already tested himself against not only both Klitschko brothers, but Ikabe Ibuchi, the aforementioned McLeod, and David Tua as well. Earlier tonight, Jim Gray spoke with Byrd.
All right, Chris, you are fighting a friend again. I guess you didn't learn your lesson after fighting Jamil. What's it like to fight a friend? Is it difficult?
Well, it's not so difficult. I'm a competition guy. I love I'm very competitive. I love the competition in the ring, and I don't think about the friendship. I know we're in boxing, and I have to hit him, but afterwards, it's kind of hurts because he lost.
How do you not think about somebody that's a friend and you're hitting them in the head? I mean, how do you displace that?
Well, once they come out trying to hit you, you got to forget about it. You go out there and just do the job. I train really hard for this fight, and just try to do the best job as possible against whoever you fight.
There's some rust now. It's been since last November since you fought. Will that be a factor?
We'll know when I get in the ring. I mean, in training it's been great. I've been looking really good, really sharp, especially at the end, so I didn't feel too rusty then. I think I'm a little bit over, but in the fight, sometimes it may play a role in how you look in the ring, but I got to overcome it.
You've said that you've had a number of frustrations over the past almost a year now, over the promotional side and the business side of boxing. Is that going to at all in any way affect your performance?
No, I got to put all that aside. I trust in the Lord. I know my faith in God, it carries me through any obstacle that may come about me in the business side. So I got to put that aside. I got DeVaryl Williamson I got to fight and just go forward and do the best I can in the ring.
All right. Best of luck tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim. Chris Byrd has been frustrated by inactivity and a rocky relationship with his promoter, Don King, and his stock has been devalued by close calls over Frezzo Kendo and Jamil McLeod and a draw with Andrew Galata. Time is running out as he needs a convincing win right here. Back here with Al Bernstein. And Al, if Byrd gets by Williamson tonight, it presents some interesting possible matchups. Guys like James Toney and Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, and to get one of those matchups and of course to keep his title, Byrd has to reverse his recent trend of some imperfect performances, and those from a boxer who can be picture perfect. When Byrd's at his best, well, they could use his photo in the dictionary next to the word crafty, a word that in boxing often translates to unbeatable. Now, when he is beatable, it's by big punchers, and as fate would have it, DeVaryl Williamson is just that. Although he can often be stiff and a little mechanical in the ring, Williamson can also be a very good tactician. And power aside, he says the way to beat Byrd is to outthink him. Despite Byrd's lack of one-punch power, Williamson has to attack with some restraint or he'll get hit a lot. Williamson's power is in the right. Byrd has been hit and hurt with that punch. A one-dimensional attack won't work against Byrd. You need to mix it up. Williamson threw an unconventional combination here against another lefty, Elisir Castillo. It started with a left uppercut, and that set up the much-talked-about Williamson right. This kind of creative thinking is needed by Williamson tonight. Sometimes Byrd is too aggressive for his own good early. He may have some ring rust after a long layoff. Byrd likes to negate the power of an opponent. He needs to stay away from the right hand tonight. Combinations are the key to a Byrd win. Here against Evander Holyfield, he sprays combinations that send Holyfield back against the ropes. 6 punches in only 2 seconds. He wants this against Williamson tonight.
Five to 1 underdog DeVaryl Williamson, fighting pro only 5 years after a long and decorated amateur career. Not an easy path to his first world title fight. His mother battled drug addiction, lived in 6 foster homes, which was rough enough, but then his father was in jail while that was taking place. 6 different elementary schools, never used his hardship as a crutch. A 96 U.S. Olympic alternate, 3-time U.S. amateur champion, and he earned a master's degree from Northern Michigan University in administrative services. He's also a former stand-up comic, former high school and college quarterback, mascot, and cheerleader who tried out for the Indianapolis Colts.
What's he doing in his spare time? That's what I want to know.
I guess he fights Chris Byrd.
Yeah, exactly.
He should know Byrd very well, Al, after around 200 rounds of sparring.
That's for sure. You know, when Byrd was a pro and Williamson was still an amateur, he and his mates, Williamson's amateur mates, would sit around and watch Byrd fight on television. They said, boy, this guy's hard to hit. But then when Williamson sparred with Byrd, he said, you know what, I could touch him and hit him more than I thought. That gives Williamson a sense of confidence coming in here tonight.
He said he doesn't want to be viewed as a stepping stone opponent for Chris Byrd. Interesting, when Williamson fought Joe Macy, Macy was supposed to be the stepping stone guy for Williamson. Williamson was knocked out cold a minute 46 into the fight. Now, can he pull a role reversal and do it against good friend Chris Byrd?
Have you ever seen a slower ring walk? I've known DeVaryl for many years. I've never seen him walk this slowly to the ring, but we hope he wants to get there.
It was interesting because a couple of hours ago while we were rehearsing, he was already in the ring.
Yep. And he was checking out this ring to make sure he could move appropriately in it.
Here he is, DeVaryl, touch of sleep, Williamson. Chris Byrd, very spiritual, a devout Christian, coming to the ring for pay for the first time in 11 months, only 3 fights in 3 years, regarded as the most technically gifted of Don King's 3 heavyweight champions, but because of his size, he is almost always physically overmatched, yet he is a fearless competitor, as he described in the interview with Jim Gray. There's his wife/manager, Tracy Byrd. But Chris just loves to fight. Right now, though, he is on the sour side because of the business end of boxing, and so is Tracy. It's put him in kind of a strange mood, yet despite all kinds of headaches with Don King and money, he insists his head is right. The question, Al, which Byrd will fly tonight?
Yeah, and you know, I think you could physically see the angst on Tracy Byrd's face. One of the reasons is she told us lately Chris Byrd has been wanting to be more aggressive in the ring, wanting to come in and fight a little harder, be more of a slugger. And he said to us, I do it because I'm bored with the fights the way they go, and also because they want to market him better. So we might see a little more aggressive Chris Byrd. We'll see.
Chris and his wife Tracy feel that they are being grossly underpaid tonight, particularly for a heavyweight champion. A reported $425,000, but bigger paydays may lie ahead with a victory tonight. Let's size them up as we check out the tail of the tape from Reno. Byrd at 35, 2 years younger than Williamson. After that, all Williamson, who has the height, weight, and reach on Byrd, but that, of course, nothing new to the champion, who's accustomed to being the smaller fighter. Byrd outweighed by 12 pounds, but he welcomes that, feeling it gives him the advantage. Williamson, by the way, matching his career heaviest at 225. And the key rules for this world title affair: there's no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule, and a fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If an accidental headbutt occurs before the end of the 4th round, the fight is ruled a no decision. If it happens after the end of 4, they go to the scorecards. So here at the event center in Reno, Nevada, we're getting ready for the IBF Heavyweight Championship. It's Chris Byrd versus DeVaryl Williamson. Let's get the formal introductions from our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and welcome to the Reno Event Center here in America's Adventure Place, the beautiful city of Reno, Nevada. We have a big night of action coming away, ladies and gentlemen, and it's all brought to you by Gary Shaw Productions in association with Goose and Tudor Promotions, Don King Productions, and Showtime. This bout coming away is a world title attraction sanctioned by the IBF, President Marion Muhammad, Supervisor David McCulloch, along with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Introducing to you at this time our judges scoring the bout from ringside. From La Mesa, California, Pat Russell. From Las Vegas, Nevada, Glenn Trowbridge. And from Gardnerville, Nevada, Doug Tucker. And our third man to the ring, the referee in charge, working in this his 20th world title bout from Reno, Nevada, Vic Draculich. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Heavyweight Championship of the World. Introducing to you first the challenger on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks with red trim, fighting out of Denver, Colorado, by way of our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. He weighed in at 225 pounds with a record of 22 wins, 3 losses. He has 18 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the NABO champion, ranked the IBF number 3 heavyweight contender. Please welcome the challenger, known as Touch of Sleep, introducing DeVaryl Williamson. And his opponent across the ring is the defending world champion on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trunks with white trim, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Flint, Michigan. He weighed in at a ready 213 pounds. His record, 38 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, with 20 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the 2-time heavyweight world champion. Tonight he is making the 4th defense of his current title, introducing the IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Chris Byrd. Once again, a referee in charge, Vic Draculich, now to give instructions, 12 rounds of championship boxing schedule.
All right, gentlemen, this is for the IBF heavyweight title. You received your instructions in the dressing room. Again, I want to caution you. Any punch below this point is going to be called low. Any punches below this point are going to be called low. With that said, I want you to obey my commands, protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up now. Good luck to both of you.
So it's been a long time since we've seen heavyweight champ Chris Byrd. Will he be the tactical, frustrating, hard-to-hit, discombobulating Byrd, or will he look to trade more tonight? His opponent, DeVaryl Williamson, told us he needs to stay a step or two ahead of the very experienced champion, mix up the attack. By that, he has to swarm at times. Also, in his words, be passively aggressive. Here we go, round 1, scheduled for 12 for the IBF Heavyweight Championship. Chris Byrd, the champion, in the white with the red trim. DeVaryl Williamson, his first world title shot. The challenger in the black with the red piping.
You know, Steve, we talked about the weights. Byrd has been weighed less than his opponents in the last 10 fights, including this one. But in this case, he's only 12 pounds less than Williamson. A lot closer than the 270 for McCline or 237 for Andrew Gallardo. So this is less of a difference than he's used to.
Yeah, he's not used to this. The question is, can Williamson take more chances knowing Byrd's not a massive puncher? He said yes and no, because Byrd can also peck you into submission. There's a straight left into the chest by Byrd. One of Byrd's great characteristics, his ability to not get hit cleanly, such an elusive target. But he has been getting hit more in recent fights. Well, his most recent, of course, almost a year ago. Probably because he has been trading more. with his opponents.
He says it's a tactic on his part. DeVaryl Williamson and others have suggested it's reflexes and speed slowing a bit at 35.
Two key things from talking to the southpaw Byrd, aside from his feelings on Don King, he's not worried about the long layoff in terms of sharpness. And from the many rounds of sparring with Williamson, he knows he basically has to avoid the right hand. Right now, an extremely cautious opening round.
We are through half a round. Not one punch has landed, and only a few have been thrown. There's a jab to the body by Williamson, but not much happening at all. Both men trying to feel each other out, which, when you think about it, it's odd considering they've sparred 200-some rounds against each other.
Williamson off an impressive second-round TKO over Derek Jefferson. A bit sloppy technique-wise, but has a pretty good right hand. Basically a boxer puncher, has some power.
Yeah, he can punch, DeVaryl Williamson. And, you know, we saw him against Vladimir Klitschko. He's very patient. You see it right now. You know, it's not scintillating, but he'll wait for the opportunity to try and get that punch in. And he's trying to actually make Chris Byrd come to him, which is a fascinating tactic. Byrd doesn't like that.
The fans expressing their disapproval. Finally, Williamson unleashing a right hand, but it was blocked by Byrd. Now DeVaryl missing.
And when Byrd threw that punch, you saw Williamson try to counter him with the right hand. He's trying to bait Byrd in to see if he can make Chris Byrd attack him a little more.
So a very boring first round to the folks who've assembled here at the Reno Event Center. 10 seconds left in the opening round. You'll hear the crescendo build.
You got to work with it now. You don't pose too long out there. Make it fight. When you let him pose too long, you have to make it fight. Watch that right hand.
I'm watching.
Don't wait so long. You understand? You understand? You got to set up your punches with the feint. When he blocks your jab, everybody come up with a hook right hand, okay? Now put some things together. You got to go take this thing. Got that one out of the way. You hear me? You need you to bend your knees a little bit. You understand? A lot of movement. A lot of movement. I don't want him to know where it's coming from.
Durbin, who wants more movement out of DeVaryl Williamson. The biggest hand so far has come for the round card girl.
You know, George Durbin's been with DeVaryl Williamson all the way through his pro career and worked with him in the amateurs as well. It's a very, very good union of those two.
And of course, former U.S. Olympic coach Joe Byrd, the father of Chris, is in his corner. Also has his mom, Rose, and his sister, named Tracy. Little salvo to the body by Williamson, who finally opens up a bit.
And you know, I talked about the Williamson right hand. He is not devoid of a left hook, and you saw it right there. He threw it to the body, and of course, that's a very effective weapon against the southpaw.
No secret that Byrd doesn't attract fans the way the big hitters do. Even he admits, as you mentioned earlier, he got bored with himself and started to trade more in his last few fights. Critics got on him for his keep-away technique. Then when they saw him getting hit a lot more, they said, hey, you should return to the old ways. So, you know, what do you do? Well, you do what's right for you.
Right now, DeVaryl Williamson tactically is doing an interesting thing to Byrd. Now, what they want is more movement from Williamson, but he is making Byrd come to him and then occasionally attacking, doing what a phrase he said to us. He said, I'm going to be passive-aggressive in this fight. And Chris Byrd right now is trying to make up his mind. Do I attack? Do I try and get him to come to me? He's not doing it. So interesting that the champion is facing a little bit more of a strategic dilemma here.
Well, right now they're fighting like they are good friends. Vic Dragulich admonishing
and
them.
this is wrong. This is absolutely 100% wrong. I hate when the referees do it. It's inappropriate. They can fight whatever strategy they want. If it isn't exciting, tough cookies.
Well, Vic,
you know, we don't like it, but that's tough. You don't tell the fighters they have to mix it up more. I'm sorry.
The referee being influenced by the crowd. I've seen this happen before. In particular, Arthur McCanty, the legendary referee, has done that on occasion.
And he was wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I like Arthur.
Now you're getting on my buddy Arthur.
I like Arthur.
The illustrious.
He was wrong. You know, these guys have a right to fight whatever strategy they want. And you see they're going to move a little more and make it look like they're doing more, but they're going to do what they want to do.
Well, the fans obviously do not enjoy watching grass grow, and that's what's happening here.
And they have a right to boo. Now, interestingly, Williamson, because of all that, is doing more what George Durbin wants. He's moving more. It's made Byrd throw more jabs and be a little bit more aggressive.
Byrd doesn't have the size or the punch that a heavyweight's supposed to have, yet he's a world champion. But in a division known for home run hitters, he's a singles hitter. Now he's more aggressive. And Williamson mostly missing. And the boos continue to cascade. The wife of DeVaryl Williamson, Shalifa.
She is a, you know...
This thing's going to go right by you if you don't start letting go.
A very interesting woman, and they have a very interesting dynamic between the two of them.
Combinations, you understand me? Go right through this guy, you understand? Double jab. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Let's go now. You understand me? It's too much damn respect. You got to be the heavyweight champion of the world. You got to go get this thing. You understand me? Now put it together, all right? You good? Let's do this. You understand me? Nobody's going to hand this shit to you. You got to go get it, Jujo. You hear me? Let's go.
They are a very intriguing couple, and she is very involved, not as a manager, but as a consultant and a person that guides him through life and through boxing as well.
Meanwhile, George Durbin giving the Newt Rockney speech in the DeVaryl Williamson corner. He says, you got to go after this thing. So they both come out now for round 3.
And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see more action. I just would like it to be self-motivated. There's Williamson going downstairs with the jab. Now, in the last round, what Chris Byrd got done was he started to establish his jab, which is important for him. And when he does that, the combinations flow off that.
Well, if Williamson studied tapes, he'd see, particularly in the Vitaly Klitschko-Byrd fight, that it's very difficult to overpower Byrd, which he obviously is not doing. Unless Byrd has lost some reflexes and sharpness, very tough to punch through him. You have to sort of punch at him. And I think you need to keep the pressure on Byrd. You need to swarm him. I think that's a good way to attack Chris Byrd. And he's being very conservative right here.
Now, Byrd's being more aggressive, but see, he does want, if he can get Byrd to come to him, there's some relevancy in that. Even though I agree with you, he's got to land punches to beat the champion. And he believes, remember, that one right hand will turn this fight around. Does Williamson.
And Williamson is smart. He brings a game plan. He tries to use his height and reach. He does have a pretty good jab to set up his power as the boos continue here. It's been close to 3 rounds of this. Very frustrating for the folks here.
You know, George Durbin's telling Williamson to be more aggressive, but he can't get away from what he has in his brain that he wanted to do in this fight. Now, whether it'll work remains to be seen.
And you pointed out Byrd does have difficulty with big punchers like Ike Beabuchi, Vladimir Klitschko. Another situation where I think Williamson should be taking that approach.
Yeah, but what all those guys have in common, the two Klitschkos, and really Vitaly was beating Chris Byrd until he had to leave the fight and quit because of a shoulder injury. When you're tall and you use a jab and a straight right hand and you fight from long range, you can get something done against Chris Byrd. What Williamson is doing wrong is he's trying to lure Byrd in, but he's not throwing punches. And of course, that's not going to win you rounds.
Well, this is not one for the time capsule, folks. It is not electrifying by any stretch of the imagination.
Byrd just pecking away with that jab. That's really the key. If he keeps doing that the way this fight is going, he'll be effective as long as he doesn't overcommit himself and get hit with a big counter shot by Williamson.
getting very ugly. In and out of the ring. Well, the reigning heavyweight champions, the relative inactivity of Chris Byrd, the other champion staying busy during that span of time.
Yeah, with the exception of Klitschko, who's had some injury issues. Lemon Brewster, very, very active, just won recently in Germany in a very tough fight that he had. And so when you look at this entire group, that's where many people criticize the division either for inactivity or they say lack of excellence, and this is the group that bears the brunt of that.
And the point being, Byrd has held the crown longer than any of those guys, but today's heavyweight division, boy, it's in a state of flux. No question.
You got to use your head in there. Thank you. You know, jab, man, pick your jab and follow up.
And you know, the average Joe, he or she has to struggle to identify one of the 4 champions. But even with that, people are still fascinated by the big men. Here's more.
Don't start mixing it up. All right, back to your point. Let's go.
I get the feeling Vic Draculich would like to join the chorus of boos.
I guess he would. I don't think it's his job, but and obviously we want to see more action in this fight. We'd like to. You know, Byrd, obviously not a knockout puncher. I mean, he has, you know, of his knockouts, half of them came within the first 2 years of his fighting when he was fighting fighters that he was not going to. He's really never knocked out a heavyweight of note. He really hasn't, except for Lionel Butler. So it would be very odd to see him do that.
Well, right now, you know, a couple of guys who are not doing very much to market themselves.
You're absolutely correct. You couldn't be more right. And it's especially, I think, inappropriate for DeVaryl Williamson because he's facing a man who hasn't been in the ring for 11 months. He needs to make a statement and may have an opportunity here to get something done against Byrd, and he's not. And I do understand part of the strategy to lure Byrd in, but I think he's probably taking that to an extreme.
And Byrd wanted a convincing statement-type victory as well to get back up to those bigger paydays. Well, the notion that the heavyweights make the sport go round might be outdated. But, I don't know, do you think people are still watching in hopes that someone, someday soon, will emerge as the heavyweight messiah?
Yeah, they do, and obviously the rest of boxing is in terrific shape, but this division has had its issues, and this is an example of it. Now, you know, DeVaryl Williamson knows that both of the Klitschkos and also Jamil McCline, Arthur Williams in the old days, who was just a cruiserweight, all of them have hurt Chris Byrd with right hand. So guess what? He's thrown maybe 3 in this fight. You've got to throw that punch or try and set it up.
Fans continue to show their discontent, and I don't blame them.
You know what's interesting about this? Chris Byrd doesn't really want to be doing this. He doesn't want to be chasing a guy around the ring. He's uncomfortable in this posture, and that's why he's less effective than he would be, and DeVaryl Williamson is making him do it.
So you're laying most of the, I don't want, for lack of a better word, blame on the challenger here?
Well, because he wants to make this kind of fight, even though George Durbin's saying don't. What he wants is a chance to land something big against Byrd, but he's the one that's retreating for the most part.
Well, you know, he and McCline were best friends, and McCline knocked Byrd down. Here comes Byrd with a flurry. Tied up then by Williamson.
See, in that flurry by Chris Byrd and the fact that he's being the aggressor, more than enough probably to win him this round. Unless this is absolutely tactical, it's a very odd performance by DeVaryl Williamson.
Left hand over the top by Byrd that landed. So a little more action here in round 4.
You bet.
Chris Byrd makes you miss, as he does there, but he can get things done offensively. And here's where we see the combination punching of Byrd that I alluded to in the keys to victory. When he does this and throws a series of punches, he will land. 3 out of those 5 punches landed. And in this fight especially, that's enough to make something good happen.
Repeat that for me.
Yes, sir. There's no tomorrow for me.
Now do it. You understand me? Let's go.
That's something I have never seen in a corner. The trainer said to the fighter, repeat what I just said to me. And then the best punch of the night was offered by George Durbin.
Well, see, there's the jab of Williamson. You know, he wanted to use that punch coming into this fight. And if he uses that punch, the right hand may be there and may follow. And you can beat Chris Byrd this way. See, look how, when you fight tall against Chris Byrd, and you're a big heavyweight, you got some power in your right hand, look at that. You can get things done. Both of the Klitschko's did. Jameel McCline did.
Well, you can really sense the frustration.
Look at that.
in George Durbin. That's what he wants.
That's all he had to do. And he can still have movement, and he could still make Chris Byrd come to him. But look at the difference in this round for Williamson. It's dramatic.
Well, Durbin sees that this thing is winnable. The way Chris Byrd has come out, and all Williamson has to do is move and punch.
I think it's safe to say, and it would be acceptable that Chris Byrd, there's the nice high right hand. That's what he's been trying to set up for 4 rounds. And let's face it, Chris Byrd's coming in off an 11-month layoff, and Williamson told us the other day, didn't you, Steve?
Yep.
When you talked about it, he was real honest. He said, yeah, I hope he's rusty. He said, I'm kind of hoping that he is. It'll help me.
Now Byrd attempting to go to the body, and Williamson spins him around and lands a right, but those are not heavy punches.
But this is
press row scoring.
Press row scoring, and I have Byrd ahead 39-37. And this is a round, though, in which Williamson is starting to get something done.
Obviously, not an easy fight to score, as Mike Hauser of the Ring Magazine has it even. Tim Dahlberg from the Associated Press. Charles Presnell from BoxingTalk.com.
This is a round in which DeVaryl Williamson has done much better. And part of the reason is he's kind of mixed things up. Now, but see, he stopped using the jab now. But Chris Byrd himself not throwing too much. And again, Byrd's in a posture he's not used to. Nice combos, though.
Straight left hand by Byrd. See, Williamson, though, tends to slap with the right hand at times. And he can get wild with his punches. And he's not the most durable. He's vulnerable, particularly to a left hook, although he's fighting a southpaw here, so it would be a straight left.
Why DeVaryl Williamson is not using that jab more? He lands it about 7 out of 10 times when he throws it. So it's interesting. He's just, and he's got a 4-inch reach
advantage, and he has a stinging jab. We saw it against Klitschko, Vladimir. His stock actually went up in defeat in that fight. Look at this. Byrd just stopped in his tracks. I mean, why did Williamson just attack him then? He had his hands way down.
This is by far Williamson's best round in the fight, despite some of the lapses.
In that exchange, Byrd connected with a straight right to the head.
Deep breath. I know what you're doing, but you got to do it now. Do you understand me? Juju, you're cocking that right hand, you got to throw it. When he steps to you, got to throw it, all right? We're wasting time. You understand me? You're wasting time. You got to go there now. You got to make this.
The Williamson jab is a good one when he throws it, and he can land it against Chris Byrd. Look at that. That's a superb jab. And several times during the course of that round, wants the right hand to land, does Williamson, but it's not an easy task against Chris Byrd. See, he just missed with that right. Byrd smiles.
He's trying to counter over top of it.
Well, Byrd says his head is in this. He wants to be competitive, but it obviously not being illustrated in the course of the action. All this stuff might be getting to him. The management problems, the promotional problems with Don King. He's also upset, Al, that Don King is not here. He's still in Germany watching his other fighter, Larry Donald. He watched Larry Lehman Brewster the other night, victorious over Luan Krasnecki. Now he's watching Larry Donald. He said, why isn't he here? Don King retorted to say he had travel problems. But he says, I'm the heavyweight champion. You know, you come here and you watch me if you're my promoter. So I don't know, maybe this stuff is getting to him.
There's a lot of angst. When we met with Byrd yesterday, Chris was really distressed. And I've never seen him quite that distressed. And so it would make sense for it to come into him. Plus, again, there's that 11-month layoff. So this is a guy who you could understand might not be as sharp as he would like to be.
the chance of fight from the crowd.
Now, remember Williamson, you know, his belief is that he's a second portion of the fighter. He kept telling us that when the Klitschko fight was stopped because of a cut and the clash of heads and they went to the cards, he said, I was coming on, which he was, and he said the second half of the fight is what I think I own. Now let's see if he tries that in this fight.
We came to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Those are your old Kent State days, huh?
There you go.
There's the jab again by Williamson. So little is done in these rounds that, you know, anybody can steal a round. Both of these men want the other guy to come to them.
Yep.
And it's, you know, it's making a very difficult stylistic fight in terms of entertainment value.
And Williamson's trainer, George Durbin, tried to get into the ears of DeVaryl Williamson that, you know what, I see what you're doing. You're cocking your right, but you're not throwing it as Byrd is coming in. And that's what he's trying to correct here.
So there's a right hand finally by DeVaryl Williamson. And Williamson, you know, he's got power and he's a fairly good technician in the ring, but he's never been the most accurate puncher. And we see evidence of that with the right hand. But you see that he's kind of controlling the action a little bit in here. I don't know if that's enough for him to win the round, though.
The thing is, he can be brave, though, Al. He can get in there because Byrd is not a big puncher. So don't you think he could be a little more assertive?
You would think he would be a little bit more aggressive in this fight. And for Byrd, of course, the big dilemma is, do I stay back when this man clearly wants me to come forward and I can't make him come to me, or do I attack more? And for the most part, Byrd's been coming forward, but not attacking with abandon. And of course, that's, for the most part, that's not what he does, except for a few fights in his career.
Well, they've sparred around 200 rounds together, and it looks like if this continues, it's going to be 212. But I'll leave that to the experts.
Give me the towel. How you feel?
I feel good. Get my piece out.
Okay, we get it. Hey, you got the jab. You follow me, but you make him back up. He don't have no power going back. He pushing his punch and knowing what him. You got to drop that left hand on the top. Come back with your combination. Well, what you think about, because he's moving, see, he's fighting a running type fight, but step over and edge him off all the time.
Yeah.
But don't wait on.
Do you? Let your hands go. Let's go, man. You got to put it together. Bring your hook behind it.
Well, we've reached the halfway point of this IBF Heavyweight Championship. As we enter round 7, scheduled for, it has been a yawner to this point. It has broken new booing records. And let's see what happens in the second half. Perhaps they can turn it around.
You know, the interesting thing is that all 4 of these fighters, what do they have in common? The state of Michigan. Both Byrd and Tony, James Toney, born there, and both Williamson and Dominic Gwynn went to Northern Michigan on boxing scholarships. So they all have Michigan in common.
But so far, nobody's fighting like a Wolverine right now, that's for sure.
Yes, you are correct.
And again, what we're getting from the Williamson corner is the fact that whatever George Durbin is saying doesn't seem to be registering with DeVaryl Williamson. He thinks he's blowing it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you know, this fight is sitting there for someone to take. You could feel it in Joe Byrd's voice as well. Trying to get his son to do something a little bit more active. It's just waiting there for someone to throw more punches.
1 minute gone by in round 7, and the listlessness continues. Let's go to Jim Gray.
Steve, in between rounds, Mark Ratner, the executive director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, went to both corners and he asked each of the trainers if there's anything wrong with their fighters. He was told no. He said, I want you guys to fight. I asked him, what can he do about it if they don't? He said the commission does have the ability to withhold both purses, and it will be discussed if these guys do not fight. Steve?
Okay, Jim, those are fighting words from the executive director of the Nevada Athletic Commission, Mark Ratner. Chris Byrd, you know, it's interesting also, a lot of interesting things going on here. Chris Byrd, who is very upset that he's not getting the kind of money he thinks a heavyweight champion should be getting. It's a reported $425,000. But and you know what the problem is? He's fighting that way. He's got to step it up if he wants bigger paydays, though.
You know, see here now where Byrd is against the ropes. For the most part, he's used to people being very aggressive, and Williamson picking his shots, using mostly the jab. But see, look at how well that jab lands. If DeVaryl Williamson was active, he could have a very good chance in this fight.
Right, stay out the head, stay out the head.
This is a stylistic issue, too. It really is. If you ask Chris Byrd, who is coming forward in this fight, to be an aggressive fighter and attack somebody, for the most part, he doesn't do that. And when somebody doesn't oblige him with an aggressive fight, it's pretty tricky for him. Look at that jab by Williamson. If he throws less than 30 jabs around, he should be ashamed of himself. He can land every jab, practically every jab he throws, the way this fight is going right now.
What do you think James Toney is thinking watching this right now?
And this is a very close round here. I mean, and the jabs of Williamson alone, I think, might be winning it for him.
Punch out there, punch out.
Well, we asked the question, what do you think James Toney is thinking? Here he is warming up, getting ready for Dominic Gwynn. Still to come, our main event. James lights out Toney and upset-minded Dominic Gwynn in heavyweight action. Toney, who has expressed a genuine excitement about this event, saying he's a little nervous, feels sort of like he did a few days before his pro debut or when his kids were born.
Quite important items.
Momentous again. He has fought in Reno twice, so he knows what the altitude is all about.
DeVaryl Williamson has a 4-inch reach advantage. And you see here graphic evidence how when he uses that jab and doubles it up and stays at long range, Chris Byrd is powerless to do anything against him. That's how the Klitschko's were effective against Byrd. That's how McCline had his moments against Byrd. It's what you need to do to beat him. And Byrd told us himself, didn't he, Steve? The Cuban style is what you need to fight to beat me. That's the Cuban style for the most part.
Well, in Cuba, they're repressed, and that's unfortunately how the styles are right here. Round 8 scheduled for 12, believe it or not. The IBF Heavyweight Championship. They keep saying from the Williamson corner, let's go to work.
You know, but he's throwing the jabs. Now he threw a left hook a moment ago. Williamson has been more active in the last round or two. This is a flat performance by Chris Byrd. It really is. Now, which is not to suggest DeVaryl Williamson has been a ball of fire. He hasn't. But for Chris, this is a performance that looks like you've been out of the ring for 11 months. Your mind may or may not be completely in it. That's just what this looks like.
I think you've just pretty much hit it on the head.
And you know, Chris Byrd is a delightful guy who has given his sport a lot at age 35. But right now, he's kind of a heavyweight champ in limbo, really, in many ways.
And Williamson, a good guy, too. Very personable.
Yes. Oh, my.
You know, we rattled off the litany of accomplishments that he's had. Of course, Byrd's had many accomplishments in the ring.
You can't be with two more articulate, interesting guys. Unfortunately, this is not a debating evening. It's a boxing evening. And in this round, though, perfect example. Williamson has done most of what's happened, but he's been the one moving backwards. What will the judges say about that? Byrd really not throwing anything.
And the thing about Byrd is also he may not throw a big punch, but he can take a big punch.
Yes.
He's proven that in the past, so he shouldn't be that. You know, he could be brave, too.
Well, he could, but some of those guys have hurt him with the right hand. This round, though, one of the better ones for DeVaryl Williamson. Not thrilling and exciting, but he's gotten a lot done here in round number 8.
Let that right go, man.
The frustration in the crowd continues as absolutely nothing is going on in this fight, and actually to this point now it has reached embarrassing proportions.
A very tactical fight right now by both fighters. Now, Williamson in this round has probably landed maybe 10, 12, 13 jabs and a couple of left hands, and that's enough to win him this round.
But not to win a lot of fans.
Absolutely not. You're correct.
There's a left and a right hand combination offered by Byrd. So, alas, there is action.
He don't have no problem hitting you. You understand me? You don't have no problem hitting you, man. If you hit him back, he might fucking go out. You understand me? You ain't got no choice, dude. You gotta set up and let's go. You understand?
At the end of the round, a round in which Williamson had done very well, Chris Byrd attacked and landed really two good punches. And then Williamson was able to counter him with a couple of body punches. The intriguing thing is that round was completely controlled by DeVaryl Williamson. Will this rush at the end of the round give Chris Byrd the round? It shouldn't, but sometimes it does.
So Byrd trying to steal the 8th as we enter the 9th. Can Byrd pick up where he left off? Doesn't look that way. Starts off slowly again. And goes back to the tactical stuff.
Now Byrd laying against ropes. Now he's been a very effective fighter many times in his life against the ropes. Will he be here, and will Williamson attack enough to make him an effective fighter? Because that's what it takes for Byrd. And see, part of what Williamson knows from all his 200 rounds of sparring with Byrd is when he lays against the ropes, if you attack too vigorously, you get hit a lot. He doesn't want that because he doesn't want to lose the round. But there are bigger issues, as you point out.
Well, it seems like they're both fighting as if they have heavy issues on their minds.
There was an uppercut by Williamson. He can throw uppercuts too. Williamson can throw a good left or right uppercut. We saw that in the highlight we saw before the keys to victory. Well, I have to say, my scoring, there's the scorecard, two people favoring Byrd dramatically. I don't have it that way. I have DeVaryl Williamson winning by 1 point.
And then Mike Hauser has it even.
And the reason for that is even though Chris Byrd has come forward and continued to come forward, I think that Williamson has, for the most part, in those rounds in which he's thrown jabs, gotten a little more done. Now, that's not to suggest that's the way the judges are going to have it or that's correct, because all these rounds are very, very close. And there's the other theory, and that people will tell you, if you want to go get a championship, you have to go after it. And Williamson certainly hasn't done that. He's fought a very tactical fight.
Well, that's pretty much what George Durbin is saying in the corner of DeVaryl Williamson, but Williamson not listening.
Again, there's the jab of Williamson. Shame on him if he doesn't continue to use that weapon. He's got 3.5 rounds left in this fight to do something.
Sometimes conventional fighters against southpaws pull back on the jab. They don't feel comfortable throwing the jab.
You're absolutely right, but he's undefeated against lefties, and he has said that when he fought those lefties, the jab worked well for him. So he understands that. And look at how that jab goes right through the defense of Chris Byrd when he throws it with conviction.
Well, he should continue to do it and allow it to set up a power punch, the right hand.
Precisely.
Less than 30 seconds in round 9.
And this is a round, again, in which DeVaryl Williamson has moved a lot, not been the aggressor, but I don't know. He's thrown more punches.
So much diversity in the scoring here between our 3 press row scorers and Al, so this is going to be interesting at the end of the night. A little aggressiveness from Byrd, again, trying to steal the round again, I guess. Well, a week from tonight, you can almost guarantee action. What we're all waiting for, the rematch, Corrales-Castillo 2. Corrales said it took him 2 weeks to recover from the first fight on the inside and out, and he was the winner.
You know what? Just as a boxing fan, I cannot wait to see this fight. It's going to be fantastic.
The first one so memorable. Can the rematch equal or transcend the first one? And on Showtime and Showbox, check it out. October 21st, Agnaldo Nunez versus Isidro Granados, a rematch of a draw. November 4th, undefeated Saku Powell and Arshak Terma-Lixatayan. That wasn't easy, folks. In a battle of undefeateds, Jaden Codrington and Alan Green. And on and on. Jeff Left Hook Lacey is back in action November the 5th against Scott Pemberton.
Yeah, that should be a very good, extremely good fight.
You know, also a good fight, Rafael Marquez and Silas Mabuza, IBF title fight. That was supposed to be the first fight tonight, but Marquez pulled out with the flu.
Yeah, that should be an outstanding championship match. This is a tricky fight. You know, even scoring it is going to be very, very difficult.
George Durbin in Williamson's corner is saying, hey, DeVaryl, you got to knock this guy out. They think that's the only way that he can pull this out right now as we enter into the double digits. Neither throwing, posing. There's a good right hand, a right cross by Byrd on the chin.
Byrd, of course, used to going the distance. He's been on the better end of two decisions. One against Freza Kendo, certainly, that a lot of people questioned. And his boxing ability tends to put him over. People even have the perception that he's such a good boxer, he's likely to be winning rounds. Look at the jab by Williamson. I mean, he lands it, you know. But your point's very well taken, Steve. The jab is singular. Byrd comes in and throws a couple of showy punches, and so 5 or 6 of those DeVaryl Williamson jabs, because nothing's behind them, may not look exciting to the judges. And certainly isn't it exciting to us and the folks here and the viewers out there.
Well, the jab is a great weapon because it could be used as a rangefinder or a dangerous weapon if it's launched hard enough, and it keeps the other fighter at bay, keeps you off balance, but it could also be used to set up the power punch, which translation means anything from the right hand. An uppercut, an overhand right.
You know, we all saw a performance by Vladimir Klitschko last week against Sam Peter that not everybody enjoyed, but he was more active than DeVaryl Williamson. But he fought much like Williamson is right now, except he mixed in more right hands. Williamson could try and do that. I mean, it's hard to say Williamson isn't winning this round, but there's a good left hand by Byrd. Bird's landed 3 or 4 harder punches. Williamson has landed more jabs, so I guess you have to take your pick. And ironically, it's Byrd now who's countering Williamson better. And there's a little rhythm to what Chris Byrd is doing now.
Williamson just continues to run around the ring. Every once in a while throw the jab.
These are hard rounds to score.
Very difficult to score, and again you hear the crowd reaction. The wives watching anxiously, the wife of DeVaryl Williamson. And the wife of Chris Byrd has been up and talking and yelling encouragement throughout most of the night to Chris. She's also the manager. Tracy for Chris and Shalifa for DeVaryl.
Over. If you double it up, double to the head and back to the body, then you set up your hook. Okay, now
Chris Byrd pushing Williamson back and landing that right hand like a jab, but not exactly, kind of a half hook, half jab, and getting it in. When he gets Williamson against the ropes, he's been pretty effective, Chris Byrd, on those rare occasions.
The championship rounds of one of the really worst championship fights probably in history.
Well, it's not that's a bold statement. It's not too good. I mean, it really isn't. And that's not to denigrate these guys. It's just to say that neither has made the fight they wanted. And I think especially DeVaryl Williamson will see this if he doesn't pick up the pace here and the decision doesn't go his way. he will see this as a lost opportunity, a monstrous opportunity against a fighter who's coming in off 11-month layoff, clearly someone who is not as focused as he would like to be, and he's kind of letting it slip away. Now he's being a little more aggressive, Williamson. But, you know, the hand speed of Chris Byrd on the inside is a little better, but here's Williamson finally trying to do something, or trying. Both men now.
Well, perhaps this fight can be salvaged in the final 2 rounds.
And there was a nice right hand by Williamson, and Byrd just kind of shakes his head at it.
The numbers from Press Row, all for Byrd.
I have the fight even, but you know, clearly one of the people there has it fairly close, and I will say I'm not going to argue with the people that have Byrd way ahead. If they like the aggression and they feel like he's making the fight, you can make a case for it.
Mike Hauser from the Ring Magazine having Byrd pull ahead the last couple of rounds after having it even most of the way.
Well, the right hand by Williamson, but it doesn't faze Chris Byrd.
No, he just basically looked back at Williamson and smiled.
You know, part of Williamson's problem in this fight is perception, too. He's been going back for most of the fight, so even if he might be landing punches, and even if on occasion he's used that jab well and landed some counter shots, the perception is that Chris Byrd has had to chase him to make a fight. Williamson has certainly thrown more punches in this fight. There's no question about that. Byrd has been so economical with his punches. But when Byrd throws like that combination, he will land.
Williamson spinning Byrd around, but the elusive Byrd can't be hit. Little fall away shot there by Byrd. Another one. Byrd just has Williamson in his hip pocket right here, and he knows it. As we head to the bell, round 11.
You gotta knock him out. It's over for you, Reno. You understand me? You gotta go do it.
Both in final round, touch him up at the middle of the round.
Let me tell you, it's all over, man. Take a deep breath, bite down, and go get it. You understand me? These people tell you how you feel, man. How do you feel? You want it? Go get it. You understand me? You gotta put him out. Coil up, get your hands going, let him go. Don't stop. All right? Don't stop.
All he's gonna try to do fight 2 rounds. That's why he's showing you a true champion out there. Don't get caught with nothing. Work them hands.
So we're set for the 12th and final round of the IBF Heavyweight Championship. A major disappointment. These good friends touch gloves, and as I said earlier in the fight, unfortunately for the viewers and the fans, they're, for the most part, fighting like they are good friends and not letting it rip.
8 of the last nine Chris Byrd fights have gone the distance, and all of them against, oh, nice uppercut by Williamson, all of them against the opponents of note.
There's a nice uppercut by Williamson.
Where was that punch? I showed you that punch in the keys to victory. It was a punch that's been there for him, and it could be followed by the right, which is the exact sequence that we showed before the fight. How did those 2 left uppercuts? There was 1 in the first 11 rounds, and now he unleashes 2 of them. Amazing. And Chris Byrd, you know, urged on by his dad, saying, let your hands go.
Well, obviously, he should have watched your keys to victory.
Why didn't he pay attention?
Byrd ahead now, pulling away.
And I have Byrd ahead now in this fight, by less, of course, than they do, but nevertheless, he's come back. And, you know, Chris Byrd's issue now is he wants to at least end this fight on something more positive.
Whoa. Williamson slipped. A lot of moisture there in the corner. There obviously have been no knockdowns in this fight. Good right hand by Williamson. Got Byrd's attention, but one and done, one at a time.
Yeah, if he was hearing George Durbin, and let's just say the ringside scoring is right, George Durbin, his own trainer, is right. One thing DeVaryl Williamson can't do is back up in round 12, and that's exactly what he's doing. He should be attacking no matter what.
Well, he's got to be throwing it all out there now because he's got to know he's behind, and the only way he can win this fight is by knocking Byrd out.
Especially if his own corner is telling him that.
It is total silence in the corner of DeVaryl Williamson. Total silence right now. It's almost like they are just dumbfounded. And, you know, I hate to say this, but almost bringing new meaning to his nickname, Touch of Sleep.
We're getting, it's interesting, here we are in round 12, getting, even this would have been fine for 4 or 5 of the rounds, you know, if we just had this, but, you know, and even there, you know, Williamson waiting for Vic Draculich to get in, and after Byrd had turned around, so.
Well, it's too little, too late as we head for the bell, and you will really hear the voice.
An imperfect performance by both men, but it will likely end up with a decision for Chris Byrd, although there's no guarantee of that either.
And it will not likely end up in the time capsule.
No, that you are correct about that.
Guys, watch the water here.
So this one mercifully comes to an end. And, you know, I wonder if this hurts Byrd's chances down the road for a fight with Tony or Vladimir Klitschko.
Maybe not, because they saw, if they see a ring-rusty fighter and someone that they think is not performing at his peak, it may make them more interested in fighting.
Yes, I agree with that. I don't mean from the standpoint of the opponent. I mean from the standpoint of marketability.
Marketability, sure.
And would people want to see that? Well, interesting. But it looks like Byrd's got this one in the victory column, but not a very exciting victory. Following the long layoff, nearly a year, and looking to retain his IBF heavyweight title.
And you can tell he's not thrilled with the reaction of the crowd, probably not thrilled with his performance. He hasn't been, you know, he's normally a pretty upbeat guy. He said the joy of boxing has been sucked out of him like sucking it in a straw.
It sucked the blood right out of him.
I mean, that's his attitude now about the way things are.
But he said that outside, he said that's outside the ring. He said once he gets inside the ring, he'll be competitive. He was to some degree, but not enough. And also his opponent also didn't come to the party tonight.
Well, and he and his they both had imperfect performances.
Right, they're both responsible for this. Let's go to Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the results.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Glenn Trowbridge scores the bout 115 to 113. Judges at ringside, Doug Tucker and Pat Russell both scored the bout 116 to 112. All three in favor of the winner and still champion, Chris Byrd.
And I had it 115-113 as the one judge did.
Well, even Byrd can't even break a smile as he defends his title successfully for the 4th time. Lifts his record to 39-2-1. And DeVaryl Williamson unsuccessful in his first world title shot in a very boring fight. Coming up next from Reno, Nevada, our main event. Let's hope this one is a lot more exciting. The irrepressible James Lights Out Tony hasn't lost since June of '97, undefeated in 15 straight. Tonight he'll meet upset-minded Dominic Gwynn, looking to revitalize his career. Gwynn predicts a unanimous decision. Tony versus Gwynn, heavyweight scheduled for 12, our marquee attraction. set for the post-fight reaction, and this should be good. Let's go up to the ring and Jim Gray.
All right, Steve, thank you. We're joined by both fighters. Chris, as I turn to you, what is your assessment of this fight tonight?
Well, I can tell you one thing. If you with Don King and in his doghouse, you don't get to fight. I mean, me and DeVaryl sparred over 200 rounds together. People don't realize how hard he punch. I mean, for 225 pounds, he hit like a big guy. And it was just hard, you know. Style-wise, he had a great game plan, and I followed him.
The game plan, is it too hard to fight a friend? Let's start with that. Because it didn't seem for the first 8 rounds that there was a fight.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's kind of hard, but it's business in here. I mean, he's trying to hit me with hard punches, but at the same time, we respect each other in clinches and doing that stuff. And for me,